Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 9. Today's episode, I'm going to be talking about those business plans that I mentioned briefly in last week's episode. But before I actually get to what the core of the business is, I want to first go back to what brought me to this idea and to this conclusion. I think of it as a little bit of a personal history lesson of myself. So when I first started university, when I first started my undergrad, I should say, not my current degree. When I first started my undergrad back in 2007, I knew that at some point after I graduated, I wanted to at least try to start my own business to see what can I do on my own. I've always been that sort of person. If I find something that I really enjoy, I fixate on, and I have to just obsess about it. You ask, especially my family. If there's something that when I was younger that I liked, that would be the only thing that I did, and nothing else. So I figured that if I could come up with some sort of idea, that would be perfect for me. I'd follow it through right to the very end. So I wanted to start a business, right? But I did my undergrad in physics, and throughout most of my degree in physics, I was thinking, I'm like, okay, I want to start a business someday. What am I going to do, right? Physics was great in that it taught me how to learn, but my degree didn't actually teach me any applicable skills, if you want to call it that, or hands-on skills per se. We had to do, of course, some labs and whatnot, but those aren't really. They didn't teach you any actual engineering skills, if you want to call it that. And well, it's not an engineering program; it's a science program, right? You have to learn you got to learn your basics in all sorts of different fields of physics in order to actually be successful, and then whatever else you do with physics afterwards. So I didn't know what I was going to do. So I was thinking, okay, well, maybe I guess I'll go get a job, or continue on and do graduate studies, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm currently enrolled in the master's program here at the same university. But I still, even if I was going to go into grad school, I still wanted to own my own business. So it wasn't until the summer after my third year, so before I was going to my fourth year, when I got a research studentship, or whatever you call it, during the summer at the Institute for Quantum Computing. And the reason I got that was because I was one of the few people accepted to their summer program, and then through that I got a summer job. And when I was there, my supervisor was asking me some questions. He was asking me some electronics related questions, and I'm trying to answer these questions, right? But I don't know anything about electronics. Now, to put this in time frame, this would have been towards the end of the summer, so this would have been around August or so, 2010. All right, so not that long ago. And he's asking me really basic questions, right? And I can't give him an answer. The only thing I know about electronics at this time is basically just V equals IR, and that's it. So he looks at me and he goes, okay, Stephen, you need to take an electronics course. So I'm like, all right. So I go ahead and I take my first electronics course that following term, and it was a second year systems design engineering electronics course that I took. So of course I'm in fourth year, and I'm in this room with all these system design students, and none of them recognize me, so they're all confused and whatnot. And anyways, point is that I absolutely loved it. I had a great teacher, and it was quite possibly one of the turning points, I guess, of my life, taking that class. Because with that, what I would do is I'd go home, because I was so enthralled with the I believe that's the right word, enthralled, with the stuff that I was learning in that class, that I'd go home and just study more and more on the internet, and would try to continue to take my knowledge to the next level. That's part of that obsession with me, right? I found something that I liked, and that's all I focused on for just days at a time. So then with that, I finished that, so then I took another introductory electronics class because it covered slightly different material. So I wanted to kind of get all of my core material known. The following term I did that, so that would have been now January 2011. And then during the summer I took then Intro to Digital Signal Processing, and then September 2011, so just a couple months ago, I took Intro to RF and Microwave Engineering. So I've come quite a long way in a relatively short period of time, but that's besides the point. The thing is that I loved electronics, absolutely loved it. So I decided, I'm like, oh, I can start a electronics company, right? Like, why not? Because I love doing it, and I know that that there's all sorts of needs in that field. Excuse me. So why not, right? So I was thinking about it, and looking on the internet and on the communities and stuff like that, and I noticed this open source hardware movement, right? With the open source hardware summits and all sorts of places, and the EEV blog kept mentioning open source hardware, and I'd constantly be seeing things, companies like Adafruit Industries, where they everything that they do is open source hardware and whatnot, and that these places were doing well, and the Arduino is open source hardware, and the Arduino team's doing well, and all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, this might be what I need to push it to the next level, because I'm just one person right now. Nothing that I do would be unable to be replicated by some large company or established firm or whatever, with more money and better. Because although I've come a long way in my knowledge, I still don't know that much. I don't have that experience from start to finish in production of some product and whatnot. I don't have great system design engineering principles, So these places would be able to do it much better. So I'm like, oh, well, I agree with the philosophy of this open source hardware movement, so why not just release everything I do like that? Because, it's great for the community. It's great for whoever buys it. There's no disadvantage to myself, right? Again, anything that I can do, somebody else could do better anyways, right? So why not just put the knowledge free out there, So I was thinking about that and whatnot, and I go, okay, well, what else can I do to supplement what I do for this business, right? So as I mentioned, I'm a master's student right now at the same university, the University of Waterloo. I'm a member of the Institute for Quantum Computing. That's where the research group is that I'm a part of. And because of my interest in electronics, even though I'm doing the Masters of Science Physics program, I'm focusing mostly on electrical engineering projects. So trying to bridge engineering and physics together, trying to bring the two together for some of the quantum computing projects that we're working on. And the nice thing about the University of Waterloo is that it's one of the few universities in North America that anything that you come up with as a student, as a professor, whatever, anything that you do, okay? I do a project, let's say. So, I make some widget, right? I own, not the university, I own all the intellectual property rights to. So, if multiple people work on the project or whatever, it's obviously a group effort. But the point is that the university itself doesn't have a stake in any of the commercialization or just the IP of it. So what that means is that anything that I do at the university, I can then go ahead and commercialize. Well, that sounds good to me, right? So this way I'm able to take anything that I do there that's more high-end stuff, let's be honest, right? This isn't, some of the stuff that I'm doing at the lab, of course, isn't going to be for your average hobbyist, but it'll be for professionals, it'll be for fellow scientists, right? And the reason why I like this whole open source hardware thing is that because as a scientist, the whole idea is to share knowledge freely, right? Yes, I know some people are going to bring up the fact, well, when people publish papers, it's behind a paywall and everything like that. And yes, I don't agree with the whole principles behind that and yada, yada, yada. But there is the archive after all, where you can get all the papers for free. This way I can take, for example, one of the projects that I'm now finishing at work is this low noise, high bandwidth current preamplifier. I just found that the 3 dB bandwidth to be 1.3 megahertz, and I can see about 200 picoamps at that frequency. So, not bad. I'm pretty pleased with that. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 200. But anyways, that's beside the point. So I can take all these things that I do at the lab, and I can take all these projects that I'm working on at home, combine them together under one business, and provide everything as open source hardware. Release it under the Creative Commons license. So that's the premise of my business. This has been quite the long rant, but what it's going to be is me releasing all this work that I'm doing as open source hardware, and providing, of course, for anybody that does wish to purchase some of it. Some of it's going to be for hobbyists, some of it's going to be for professionals again. But it'll all be freely available, because scientists, that's an important thing too. It's not just important for hobbyists that they have access to the internals of whatever they're buying. The reason that it's important is because if you ever have to fix anything, modify anything for your specific needs in your experiment, if you have to, if you need to know exactly how it's working for some sort of mathematical model, for example, some software running on some of the equipment that we have, we don't know exactly how it does the Fourier transform, where it puts its factors of, root 2 pi and whatnot, whether it's for the forwards or for the backwards, forwards or inverse, whatever you want to call it, right? But since we don't have that information, it severely, in some cases, it limits what we can do, our knowledge of the entire system as a whole, and that can be a pain in the butt sometimes. So just releasing everything as open source hardware ensures that everybody has the information that they need to do whatever they need with it. And that's what I want. I want people to be able to use it and succeed at what they're trying to use it for, right? So that's the whole premise of everything. And with that, I guess I'll mention the name now. So what I did is a week and a half ago or so, I founded Galvant Industries. And it's just a sole proprietorship, so it's just myself. And my first thing that I'm going to be doing is those USB to GPIB adapters that I've talked about a few times and showed off in episodes 1 and 2. So I'm actually almost ready to go with that adapter. And in fact, I'd be building it right now, the first couple of them, for sale, if it wasn't for the fact that I missed the FedEx guy on Friday. And of course, FedEx doesn't deliver on the weekends. So I have to wait now till Monday to get my boards. And talking about the boards, that reminds me of another thing. Another facet of what I'm trying to accomplish with this business is support Canadian industries. So I'm Canadian. I'm from Canada. I go to a Canadian university, and I want to support the country that I live in, right? So with that, I'm trying to get as much as I can done in Canada. So any enclosures that I need to get in the future, I want them to be made in Canada. The boards that I got, that have been ordered, they were made in Canada. A company called Crimp Circuits in Toronto. They were great, absolutely phenomenal with dealing with me. Very helpful with every step of the process, because again, this is the first time I'm acting as a business, not necessarily as purely as a hobbyist. So getting some higher volumes requires some more steps from the business side of things, and they were absolutely phenomenal with helping with me. Great job. And when I do eventually move for my projects to be automated and assembled, I want that to be done in Canada too. So yes, some of the things that I do are going to cost a couple dollars more than if I got it all done in China or whatnot. But you know what? you know, whatever, $5, $10 extra, and you're actually supporting as much as possible. You know, of course, the little components that I get, you know, I get some resistors. Okay, well, I don't know where they were originally actually made from, but as much as I can, it's being made in Canada. So I really hope that people appreciate that effort that I'm making to make everything made and done in Canada. So anyways, yeah, so I'm missing the boards, and I'm hoping that I get them early in the morning tomorrow so that I can get to work on them. So yeah, Galvin Industries. I'm pretty excited. It's, yeah, again, it's just myself for now. I'm sure that as things continue on and pick up, that more people will be interested, and I'll have to maybe hire some people and whatnot, and eventually I'll incorporate and whatnot, assuming that, of course, things go well. And that's where I need my viewers to participate here. You know, I'm going to try to release all these things, but of course, if nobody buys them, then I'll be a sad student. And poor, too. Don't want that. So, yeah, I hope you guys are excited for this, too. After this USB to GPIB adapter, I'm going to then have the money required to start actually prototyping the more like final version, if you want to call it that, or at least, you know, Rev 1 of the open source hardware function generator that I'm building. You know, that's been kind of on the back burner for a little bit, just because I wanted to get the business going, don't have the funds to just buy all the parts in the world, right, for all my projects. So yeah, so there's that. I got some more ideas for some more projects. It's a lot of it might end up being instrumentation stuff, because I'm kind of interested in that field, and there's not a lot of open source hardware for that. Commercial function generators are fairly expensive for the average hobbyist, so I want to try to provide something that's maybe not necessarily as nice of a case and whatnot, or as, you know, with all sorts of documentation and, you know, all this fancy stuff. But so maybe it might look a little rough, you know, from the outside, but I plan on having it very feature packed and much more economical for the average hobbyist. Anyways, that's enough about the actual business. What we're going to do is to end this video, I'm going to show off all the stuff I've gotten for the first round of USB GPIB adapters. Then we're going to end this video, and I'm actually going to go ahead and film another video right away, actually dealing with some maybe electronics concepts that people might be interested in. So let's go take a look right over there at all these parts. All right, so this is going to be pretty quick because I didn't realize that I rambled on for quite as long as I did. But we'll just take a quick look to see what's going on here. So we've got a whole bunch of the actual connectors. We've got a lot of parts that I got the first time when I prototyped it. These are all like the leftovers. So there's a couple of micros in there, a couple of USB connectors in there, a bunch of low volume of a lot of parts, you know, some crystals, and we've got still some of the USB to serial FTDI converters there. But here we've got some of the larger volumes. So in Rev B, I added a power LED and an error LED. So that's what these are here. So that way you can tell if it's plugged in getting power, and also if there's an error, letting you know that you need to restart it. So in this pile, now that I think of that, just because I'm on the topic of error, one of the parts not in this pile is a reset switch. I managed to shuffle things around enough to include a reset switch. That's not in this pile, but that's just so that if there is an error, you can go ahead and restart it. So this is something I didn't know that Newark, or Element 14, or you want to call them, does. If you order a minimum quantity for your surface mount resistors, they automatically come in reels, even if it's not a full reel. You know, this is 250 right here, and it came on a reel, and I didn't pay extra for that. Now, DigiKey charges an extra reeling fee to put less than full reel onto a reel, but apparently Newark does not, and I wasn't aware of that. So that's kind of cool. So unfortunately, the thing that you kind of have to work out the math as to whether it's worth it, because you have to pay $12 shipping, unless it happens to be one of those free shipping times where if you order $200 or more, you get free shipping. DigiKey is always free shipping over $200. Now this is for Canada, all right? Don't know what the rules are for the United States and the rest of the world. This is for Canada. So, if you order $200 in DigiKey, it's $8 a reeling fee. If you got to reel more than one, probably better to just go with Newark. Plus, their prices for small components I find to be normally better than DigiKey. You have to order a large volume from DigiKey before you start getting the same prices per unit as Newark. A bunch of anti-static bags, or static, anti-static. I'm trying to make sure I get the terminology right. The conductive bags, all right? I know that Mr. Jones there likes to post a couple videos about that. A whole bunch of the micros, blah blah blah. Anyways, that's pretty much all that. A bunch of USB connectors and the box of boxes. So I got this from a Canadian company. Don't know where they originally got the boxes from, mind you. But yeah, that's oh, there's some noises outside my apartment. But yes, box of boxes, so I can actually ship them to people. So yeah, that's pretty much where things are at. And the box that's missing, of course, is the box with the PCBs in them. So, yep. Oh well. Alright, so I'm sorry that this video ended up being as long as it was. I wasn't expecting myself to ramble on for as much as I did, but oh well, at least now you guys know, right? And if you weren't interested in this, I'm sorry, right? So if you did manage to make it all the way to the end of this video, I want you to leave a comment below, because every time somebody leaves a comment, it makes me feel good on the inside. And I want you to mention something about boxes, okay? Something about boxes, because we saw that box of boxes. It's one of those yo dog, I heard you like boxes moments. So use the word box somewhere in your comment, and it'll let me know that you made it all the way to the end of this video. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and start filming the next video to make up for the fact that this one's just me rambling on. Alright everybody, see you in, well, the next video. Bye.